An anthology about the bad, the short lived, and the forgotten shows and events in television history. This is It Was a Thing on TV.
Punisher! Control!
Harry, before I change my mind!
I give you Super Train.
Episode 351, submission number 1541. That's My Mama. That's My Mama aired on ABC from September 4th, 1974 to December 24th, 1975 for 39 episodes over 2 seasons.
Welcome to Oscar's Barbershop, named after my daddy who passed it on to me. It's been a part of Washington, D.C. a long time. This is me, Clifton Curtis, my own boss and loving every minute of it. And this is my little sister, Tracy, and her husband, Leonard. This is my best friend, Happy-Go-Lucky Earl. And this wonderful person, well, that's my mama.
Guys, I don't declare this often. That is a banger.
Okay, so we're going into this year's celebration of Black History Month. Remember last year, or was it the year before? It was one year where we did the Sanford verse, and that was a good couple of episodes. Now we're going to get into a really good episode about a show that has been referenced repeatedly in pop culture, but I'm not really sure that anybody really knows what it's about.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. Well, hold on. First off, Sanford verse was September of 2020, so that was nowhere near February of any year.
Oh, my mistake. So this is our first Black History Month week.
As far as I know, yes.
Nice.
Okay. But getting back to what I was going to say, you said that nobody really knows about it. I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
And again, we're sort of shifting where we talk about stuff in the show. We usually would save this for after we go through the episodes and what happened and where you can watch it. That's My Mama did air a number of years ago. I want to say, it had to be about 10, 15 years ago, like in the early days that TV One started.
Yeah. Yeah. TV One, of course, the television offshoot of Radio One, the prominent urban radio network.
Yeah, so it aired a while. So it's not like this has been sitting in a vault for 47, 48, 49 years gathering dust. It has been seen. And also, again, not to shift the show around too much, the entire series is available on DVD.
Not only that, the entire series is available on Crackle as well, if you can't bother with the security of hard media. So you can watch the entire series right now. Just saying. So, what was this show about? You heard it in the theme song. We have a happy-go-lucky barber named Clifton Curtis who inherited his father's barber shop after he died before the series. Of course, he enjoys being a swinging bachelor. He loves the freedom his life provides. And he loves, spending the day doing his job and hanging out with his two best friends. Earl, an easygoing mailman, and Junior, a suave and good-humored ladies' man. But aside from dealing with his friends and his work, he's also dealing with his family. Most notably, his little sister Tracy, her new husband Leonard, who is just a very stodgy, conservative guy. He's completely Clifton's opposite. And then there's Mama. tart-tongued, good-natured, loving, and opinionated Eloise Curtis, who can always be counted on to have an opinion about anything. But more than anything, just wants Clifton to settle down and find a nice woman. That's all any mama wants, really. So, in keeping with the times, we have a nice family dynamic with a really talented cast, it looks like. For one, Clifton Curtis, played by the incomparable Clifton Davis. I mean, what hasn't he done? You remember him from Amen. Fun fact, he wrote the Jackson 5's Never Can Say Goodbye, if you love that song.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
Hey, you know what I have to say about that?
Oh, neat.
And then playing Mama, Eloise Curtis, an actress and comedian by the name of Theresa Merritt. Actress, comedian, and singer. You would know her from her roles as Aunt M in the film version of The Wiz in 1978.
Auntie M, Auntie M. I'm sorry.
Was that your impression of Diana Ross, Mike?
And she also appeared as Juanita in the Adam Sandler opus Billy Madison.
Oh, yes. He was excellent in Billy Madison, especially the part when Billy decided he wouldn't want to go to school. Because wasn't it if he didn't go to school, he'd have to like shave her armpits? If I remember the scene right.
Something like that?
We'll just play the scene right here.
Okay.
I swear to God, I'm sick. I can't go to school.
If you're going to stay home today, you can help me shave my armpits.
Oh my God, I'll go to school.
But her big claim to fame, the role that put her on the map, she was on Broadway playing the titular role in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I don't know if you saw the movie version with Viola. I don't know if it was Viola Davis, but I know Chadwick Boseman was in it. I think that was his last role before he died.
Yeah, that was his last role. That was the role he was nominated for an Oscar for, which everyone thought he was going to win the Oscar, and they saved it last. And then Anthony Hopkins won it, and everyone was like, what the ever-loving F? Like, even Anthony Hopkins didn't show up to the Oscars. He thought, there's no way I'm going to win this award with Chadwick Boseman nominated.
Yeah. And I just checked. Yes, that is Viola Davis as Ma Rainey. So, by the way, EGOT Viola Davis, I should say.
Yeah, because didn't she just win a Grammy?
Yep.
Yeah, for, I think, audiobook.
And sadly, of course, Theresa Merritt no longer with us. She died in June of 1998 of skin cancer. Playing the role of Clifton's little sister Tracy is Lynn Moody, who was known as Irene Harvey in Roots when that aired on ABC, and Roots The Next Generation. She also played the role of Patricia Williams in 2 seasons of Knots Landing. Of course, the last thing she did was a 2009 TV movie called Mrs. Washington Goes to Smith.
What the hell is that?
I have no idea, but she played a dean of students, it looks like.
Well, we did mention her a couple weeks ago. She was a guest star on an episode. I forget what. I'm looking here and I can't figure out what episode we talked about her. But we purposely held back saying she was on That's My Mama, because we didn't want to sort of tip our hand and say, hey, we're going to talk about her in 2 or 3 weeks. But also, where you might know her from, we've talked about her in the past. Because
well, I can tell you right now, she was in ER.
She was in, well, I thought it was after that. Like I said, I thought it was only like 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, she was in ER. But also, we've talked about her in the past because she was a pretty key role in the last season of Soap because she played Billy Crystal's girlfriend when he was going through some transitional therapy, some stuff that we don't like talking about nowadays, and also pushing the card even more interracial relationships. So a lot of kind of taboo stuff back in 1980. And she was also on 10 Speed and Brown Shoe, and I don't think that was where we talked about her, but that's a little more recent than ER.
Her husband was played by Lyle Wilson. Her husband, Leonard. Now, Lyle Wilson was known for his guest appearances on Lou Grant, The White Shadow, and Falcon Crest. And that was pretty much it. But he also is no longer with us. He died of a brain tumor in 2010. And playing the roles of his two best friends, Earl and Junior. Earl was played by Teddy Wilson, who we talked about with Sanford Arms. And Junior was played by Ted Lange, aka Isaac Washington from The Love Boat.
Isaac, you're a bartender.
And was most recently on The Real Love Boat.
Yes.
Which is going to definitely be a future entry.
Yes, it is.
Oh, how can it not be? How can it not be a future entry?
It was the first TV show that was canceled this season.
And it gives us an excuse to talk about Jerry O'Connell. But let's remember, Rebecca Romijn is number one in our hearts. Because she's number one on Strange New Worlds.
Yeah,
we get that. We get that.
Rounding out the cast is local seniors Josh and Wildcat. Josh was played by DeForest Coven, who is known as a vaudeville performer from his first appearance in 1936 as the Singing Kid.
Oh, but he actually has another maybe real memorable role, a small one, but you've definitely seen him.
Yeah.
He was one of Apollo Creed's cornermen in Rocky.
Yeah. And kind of timely, considering a couple weeks we'll have Creed 3 coming out. And just remember, Chico, Kang the Conqueror, he's going to f*** Donnie Creed up.
Oh, God. Yeah. I have to start censoring already. Greg.
All I can say is not a good time to put a movie out. Maybe wait another week. And Wildcat was played by Chester Hairston, who would go on to work alongside Clifton Davis as Raleigh Forbes on Amen.
And I'm going to say this right now, and you may disagree with me, and that's fine. Raleigh made Amen.
I'm not going to disagree on that.
No.
He's sort of like the Tony Shalhoub of Amen. Not just because it made Chester Harrison's career, but he was Amen. He was such a great character.
He was. I don't know why on that one. No. There was not a career that was not made by that show. I mean, you had Anne-Marie Johnson, you had Roz Ryan,
Clifton Davis, obviously.
Sherman Hemsley. His career was made like 2 times over on that show. Barbara Montgomery. And also, oh my God, Mother Winslow was on Amen, y'all. Mother Winslow was on Amen.
Yes, Mother Winslow.
And also Elsa Raven as Inga, the deacon's Swedish housekeeper. But fun fact, Elsa Raven, not Swedish, she American.
And unfortunately, Amen doesn't get the same praise that the Golden Girls gets, even though they air it on the same network on the same night. I mean, I know Golden Girls ran 8 years and Amen ran like, 4, but still, Amen, I don't think is even rerun anywhere nowadays. It was on Cozy for a while, but it's been probably a good 6-8 months since I've seen Amen on Cozy.
I have to wonder if it's being tied up as part of the estate of Johnny Carson. I don't know.
Now? Johnny Carson died in 2005. Why would it take 20 years for it to be tied up? Like I said, it aired on Cozy, I want to say August, September of last year. It wasn't that long ago, but they did remove it from the schedule for whatever reason.
And I'm doing some research here. It is on Canopy, Vudu, Prime Video, and Apple TV. So
For purchase?
for purchase.
Okay.
It's like you can watch it, but it's going to cost you. And by the way, 5 seasons. So those were the castmates on season 1. I say this because, well, we'll go over it in a second, but right now let's go over some of the episodes because this was basically your slice of life created by Dan T. Bradley and Alan Rice, developed by Stanley Ralph Ross, who you might remember as a chief developer of the original Wonder Woman series.
The company that produced season 1 of That's My Mama was Blythe Beard Productions. Chris Beard, you may remember his association with The Gong Show, among other things. But also, and I think Greg may walk off the show for this, Blythe Beard in 1974, they didn't just have That's My Mama, they had another show. Greg, you're not going to believe what it is.
What is it?
The Hudson Brothers Razzle Dazzle Show.
I'm out of here. Good night.
I don't care. That show broke me so much inside that it's like,
you don't know how long I spent trying to forget that show. And here this fool gonna bring it back up again.
okay, can I share a behind the scenes thing with you guys?
Go ahead.
I made it public in the solo. It was a thing on TV Presents, but we recorded that show like 2 days after the war in Ukraine started. So I was like depressed. So if you hear the 3 shows we did that week, the Power Rangers Dino Thunder episode, Cap and Tim, and Hudson Brothers, like I'm barely talking because I'm like so depressed over what's going on in the news. And I thought, oh man, this is really gonna make my mood so much better. Having to hear the Hudson Brothers Razzle Dazzle show.
Okay, so we're going to go over the first episodes now, the first season at least. Again, there's a reason why I'm referring it to the first season. First episode, Whose Child Is This? Clifton's past catches up with him when a woman from his past shows up at the barbershop with a baby, claiming it's his.
Susan. Thank you.
When he refuses to marry her, she gets an attorney. Mama feels something's fishy. Now, just so you know, we had a couple of recasts before this episode went on the air because the pilot featured Ed Bernard as Earl Chambers, Ed Bernard of Homeward Bound as the desk sergeant.
He was the principal on White Shadow, and he was on Policewoman.
And we also had as Judy Wilson, Judy Pace, who was in, among other things, Cotton Comes to Harlem in 1970, The Thomas Crown Affair from 1968, and all 25 episodes, not all of them, but 25 episodes of The Young Lawyers from 1969 to 1971. We did talk about her before because she played Vicky Green on an episode of Beyond Westworld.
I think another role we need to add for her, since this is one of my absolute favorite movies ever, she played Gail Sayers' wife in Brian's Song.
Oh, that was a good role.
Oh, man.
The original Brian Song. I'm not a big fan of the remake they did about 20 years ago, but the original, if you don't cry in that last scene, in the last like 5 minutes of the movie, you have no feelings. Very emotional.
James Caan and Billy D. Can't go wrong with that.
Nope.
Just an overall great movie.
Episode 2, Honesty Day. Clifton calls for an honesty day during which no one in the family can tell a lie for 24 hours. In the beginning, it's refreshing, but things get ugly when the honesty gets brutal. We have a known name in this episode. Playing Leonard in this episode, Leonard Taylor, Ilunga Adele, known primarily as a writer and producer for Sanford and Son, City Guys from 1997, and Nickelodeon gem My Brother and Me.
Oh, My Brother and Me is a great show. It was all about goo.
Episode 3, Clifton's Dubious Romance. Finally, Mama's matchmaking ways to hook up Clifton work. She sets him up with a very beautiful girl named Polly. All is good until Earl confesses to Tracy that he knows Polly from back in the day, and she had a rep as a man-eater.
Oh, here she comes.
Playing the role of Polly, Berlinda Tolbert. I think y'all know where Berlinda Tolbert, you know her from. She was on the Jeffersons, guys.
Yes.
She played Jenny Wills.
And according to IMDb, this is her first credit.
Really?
Yes.
Episode 4, Cousin Albert. Mama wishes Clifton was more of a success like his cousin Albert, who appears to be dealing a well-to-do insurance franchise, but Junior finds out that insurance is not what Cousin Albert is dealing. Cousin Albert, by the way, played by Bill Elliott, known for being Mr. Dionne Warwick, but also known as Otis on Bridget Loves Bernie, all 24 episodes of that.
Hey, Bridget Loves Bernie, we're going to cover that eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
That was my backup choice for my Money in the Bank, actually. It was between Bridget Loves Bernie and, oh, what's happening in a couple of weeks? Somebody's getting older. And Madam's Place. So I chose Madam's Place over Bridget Loves Bernie. So that will be coming eventually, definitely within the next year plus a couple of weeks.
We could have been talking about Bridget Loves Bernie.
I have stuff to say. There's a lot to say about that.
Hey, I have another 2 months. Maybe I'll pick Bridget Loves Bernie as my Money in the Bank. Maybe I'll pick it. Who knows?
We also have another person of note in this episode, playing Officer O'Reilly. Oh, Gordon Jump.
Stay the hell away from that bike shop, Arnold. Stay the hell away from it.
Aren't we about 7 years away from the bike shop?
The bike shop episode of Different Strokes is on Tubi. Because Tubi has the entire run of Different Strokes.
Episode 5, Clifton's Sugar Mama. A rich old friend of Mama's comes to town. Clifton used to call her Auntie Melvina when he was 3 years old, but Clifton is a grown man now, and Auntie Melvina is a sexy cougar looking to have some fun with him while in town.
Woo!
Playing Auntie Melvina, Kim Hamilton, known for being in Guiding Light and 2 episodes of Ben Casey, but also being married to Werner Klemperer?
What?
What?
She was previously married to Werner Klemperer.
That's
wow.
Amazing.
But Greg, she played Songi on a 1990 episode of Star Trek The Next Generation.
Oh, that's terrific.
Who knew that about Colonel Klink? That's amazing.
I know, the things you learn listening to this podcast. Episode 6, Clifton's Big Move. Freddie Hampton, an old army buddy of Clifton, shows up in town wanting Clifton to be his new roommate. Clifton jumps at the chance despite Mama's objection. The swinging life is not all he thought it would be and wants to move back home. Okay, so playing Freddie Hampton is Ray Vitti, who was in 9 to 5 in 1980. He was in 1976's Car Wash. He was in all 9 episodes of future entry The Quest. He played Dr. Baker on 1 episode of The Powers of Matthew's Star.
Oh, by the way,
This is CNN Breaking News.
Mike, do you want to share the card I got that I showed you before the show that I got this week?
Yeah, now that came from Celebrity Cuts, right? That wasn't Americana. Yeah. It was like the Americana, like, I don't want to say supersized version, but the more expensive cousin of Americana.
Yeah.
And it was a dual swatch card of Lou Gossett Jr. numbered out of 50. And Greg said he only paid like $4 for it, which is absolutely amazing.
Episode 7. Mama Steps Out. Clifton finds out the real reason Mama is acting all secretive.
She's secreting? Oh no! Somebody get a mop! Oh god. Yeah.
I swear to God, I'm sober. Okay.
Hold on.
No, you're sober, but again, this is why we need to
take a stab at this.
Wait, what?
Take a stab at this.
Take a snap at it.
Okay.
And type Greg does his best impression of Macaulay Culkin during this.
I took a screen grab of it. Oh my god.
Welcome to It Was a Thing on TV out of context.
Oh my god.
We've already done that. We've already done that with, like, what did I put? The still from Spider-Man 2 and the Peter Sarsgaard Skarsgård.
The Peter Sarsgaard.
Okay.
I hope those doctors, they all get swords.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Episode 7. Mama Steps Out. Clifton finds out the real reason Mama is acting all secretive and staying out late at night. She has a boyfriend. But Clifton discovers that Mama's beau doesn't want a wife. He wants a maid for his 6 kids. The man in question, Will Harrington, played by Charles Lampkin, played Pops in Cocoon and Tiger in all 22 episodes of Frank's Place. Yes, that is a future entry.
Oh, we got to talk about Frank's Place sometime, probably next year for Black History Month.
Yeah. Episode 8, The Loan. When Clifton tries to collect a $50 debt from his brother-in-law Leonard, everything becomes chaotic because Leonard does not have any recollection of the loan. Typical conservative. Typical. Mama tries to believe in them both and help, but it makes matters worse. No one of note on this episode, so I'm guessing this is going to be a bottle episode.
Okay, before we move on, I should note, Chuck the Condor is mopping the floors at the Celebrity All-Star Game.
How's the vote for Guillermo? Are we working on the vote for Guillermo? Come on. We should be working on this.
Oh, and I got some sad news. Guillermo just got blocked by Carlos Boozer.
Boo!
You're really disappointing us, Guillermo.
No, wait a second.
I'm trying to love you.
Wait. Guillermo just got blocked. He's what, like 5'4"?
Yes.
And he got blocked by a 6'10" guy.
Bully.
Oh my gosh.
Just gonna say it right now.
I hope this reruns overnight on ESPN. I've got to record this.
Episode 9. Clifton's Con. An army friend from the past, Floyd, shows up at the barbershop to collect the debt. Turns out he helped Clifton back in the day and now needs the favor returned. He needs a job. All's good until it's discovered Floyd was an ex-con. Playing Floyd is Rod Gist, who was on, among other things, 14 episodes of Hooperman as Rudy.
Definite future cover.
And 5 episodes of something called Roll Out, where he played someone called Phone Booth.
Phone Booth, okay.
But if I'm not mistaken, he also played a manager in Richard Pryor's JoJo Dancer, Your Life is Calling.
Oh, wait a second. I'm taking a look at what Rollout is.
Uh-huh.
Oh, this must be one of the earliest appearances of one of our favorites on this podcast. But this is like the first regular series for Ed Begley Jr.
Oh!
All right, that's going on the list.
Show Hall of Famer.
Episode 10, Clifton's Persuasion. Clifton's faith is in doubt, and he gives up on church. Is it a run of bad luck or Mama's browbeating that will finally make a believer out of him? Playing the role of Reverend Armbruster, that is his Christian name, I checked, Tim Reed. Yes, that Tim Reed. WKRP Tim Reed. Sister Tim Reed. Snoop's Tim Reed.
Oh, you mean the Tim Reed that introduced that CBS Playhouse thing from 1987 with Daphne Maxwell Reed?
You mean Infiltrated with Scott Bakula?
Yes! And Kung Fu, The Next Generation.
That's right. Kung Fu The Next Generation was introduced by them too.
Episode 11, Oscar's Affair. Mama wants to know why Clifton is acting strange since one of Mama's rivals has been back in town. Turns out that this rival confessed to Clifton that she had an affair with his father after he was married to Mama.
Uh-oh.
Lady's name is Ruby Lester, and she is played by Dorothy Meyer. And Dorothy Meyer was known for playing mostly wisecracking maids, neighbors, friends, nurses, and church ladies. She played a nurse in Cobra and a cook and a witness on 2 episodes of Hill Street Blues. But she was in 10 episodes of something called King's Crossing. Try to see what exactly that was. Okay, so recovering alcoholic moves his wife and daughters to King's Crossing, resuming his job as college professor, and reconciling with a wealthy aunt. Episode 12, Tracy's Trouble. Tracy has a fight with Leonard and moves back to her mother's house. She refuses to say what the fight was about, but that doesn't stop Mama and Cliff from trying to fix the problem. Episode 13, The Gun. Earl is beaten during a burglary, which leads to him wanting to purchase a firearm. Clifton agrees and obtains one for him, but Earl insists Clifton keeps it. Mama disagrees strenuously. Freddie Hampton is back, which means, of course, Ray Vitti is back. And playing the burglar is Cal Gibson, who actually played an IBC guard in Scrooged. And he was a gardener in 1 episode of Quantum Leap, Greg.
Oh, what episode?
Season 2. So Help Me God, July 29th, 1957.
Okay.
Episode 14. Song and Dance Man. Clifton is in for the surprise of his life when he starts to date a vaudeville performer of a family friend.
Oh, I bet you I know who played the vaudeville performer.
I bet you I know who played the family friend. The vaudeville performer, Lady Carter, played by Slappy White, whose name is definitely reads like a vaudeville performer.
Oh, and we're going to talk about Slappy White in the next episode.
Playing the woman he's dating, Lola, Roseanne Caton, known as a bridal shower hooker in Bachelor Party.
Oh, Bachelor
I'm
Party.
Sorry. That's not just Bachelor Party. The what hooker?
The bridal shower hooker.
The
Bridal shower hooker. Oh my gosh. Okay, then. Those are 3 words I never thought I'd hear together in the same sentence. Bridal shower hooker.
Yeah. Episode 15, the Christmas episode. Mama gets fractured. Mama breaks her leg, so Clifton gets one of the sisters from the church to move in to take over the household duties. The sister doesn't want to do things the way Mama wants, instead wants to do things her way. Mama doesn't back down, and the sister tells Mama that as long as she's staying in the house, things are going to be done her way. And we have, as the sister, Ruby Lester, played by Dorothy Meyer. We already talked about her. Episode 16, The Last Haircut. This would be the first episode of 1975. Cliff's license renewal is due, and Mom is determined that everything is clean and perfect. Cliff is unconcerned until an elderly customer dies during a haircut. Earl helps to hide the body during the inspection. Oh God.
Wait, what?
An elderly customer dies in the middle of his haircut.
And hilarity ensues.
And they're trying to hide the body from Gordon Jumpus Officer O'Reilly. Episode 17, The Shakedown. Earl gets Clifton to co-sign for a loan to get his car fixed. The loan company has some shady lending practices.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Guillermo just hit a shot.
Yay!
He didn't know he didn't hit a shot. He didn't hit the shot. This is a hilarious one. He threw the shot up and it got stuck on the rim.
Over a minute to go. The Miz with a great catch on that pass. Guillermo. Oh, that is the most Guillermo thing that you will see tonight. Watch his reaction. Guillermo just won the game.
Wait, Guillermo did that?
Guillermo did that. So, playing Pig Iron Brooks, who apparently works for that bank, George Reynolds. He was in, among other things, Starsky and Hutch, Good Times, and he played Branford in Smokey and the Bandit. Episode 18, The Ambulance Chaser. Clifton walks across the street to the cleaners and gets hit by a taxi. Earl insists on getting a lawyer involved. Playing said lawyer, AC Barr, Richard Stahl. Richard Stahl was known as Fred Dietz and a bellman in 3 episodes of Empty Nest.
We did talk about him previously because he played a rabbi on 2 episodes of Love Sydney. And, oh
Lord.
Greg, I'm sorry. If the whole Hudson Brothers Razzle Dazzle show thing didn't cause you to walk off this podcast, I got one for you. Because just taking a look, I knew why Richard Stahl's name sounded familiar. It looks like his only TV series where he was a regular in terms of being on most, if not all, the episodes. Greg, I'll give you like a 10-second head start to walk out. He played Jack Overmeyer on Turnabout. I'm sorry, Greg. I know how much you just love Turnabout and the Hudson Brothers Razzle Dazzle show.
Oh, shuck.
Oh, shuck.
Store fleet regulations, that's outrageous.
Happy birthday, John Shuck. Episode 19, Earl's Girl. Earl thinks he found his match in a beautiful woman. Unfortunately, Clifton finds out that the woman doesn't share the same feelings for him. Aww. Playing the woman, Joanne Roberts, Chelsea Brown, known as the first African-American female on the Castle Laugh-In.
Oh, yeah.
And then she went on to other stuff. She was in 89 episodes of E Street, but she's since moved on from acting, and actually she is no longer with us. She died in 2017. Episode 20, The Witness. When the neighborhood deli is robbed by Croker, the only person who can ID him is Earl, but he's afraid of retribution if he goes to the police but can't handle the guilt of being afraid. Croker, played by Lee Kalima, was known for Get Smart, The Monkees, and something called Dimension 5.
Look at the character he played on Get Smart.
Bobo. He played Bobo on Get Smart.
And that makes me want to remind people we're doing Mr. Smith Revisited later this year. Stay tuned.
Right. Yeah, because someone finally uploaded some of the episodes to YouTube. And best of all, one of the episodes this gentleman uploaded was Mr. Smith Rescues Bobo.
Man, I could see why that series lasted 13 episodes. That was a slog.
And also playing a police captain, Sidney Clute, who, by the way, portrayed officers of the law in Kojak, Battlestar Galactica, and McCloud.
He was in Cagney and Lacey, though, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He played Detective Paul LaGuardia in all 124 episodes.
That's right.
So it's time once again to play Is This Typecasting?
Yes.
This has been Is This Typecasting? Episode 21. Clifton and the Kid. Clifton is dating a woman with a young son who becomes very attached to Clifton. The lady he's dating, Jill, played by Lillian Lehman, who is known for being that woman in That Thing, but she had a regular role as Sharon Thoreau in 6 episodes of Men of a Certain Age with Scott Bakula and Ray Romano.
Second mention of Scott Bakula this episode.
Another Lillian Lehman role that really wasn't seen for like 13 years after it was recorded. And you'll understand why when I say the show and when I say the episode. It was Married with Children, and it was the episode that was banned. I'll See You in Court, which didn't air until 2002 on like FX.
Oh, the Lost episode.
The Lost episode. She was the judge in the case when the Rhodeses sued a motel because the motel recorded them doing the nasty without their knowledge. Again, it was a lost episode, didn't air for like 13, 14 years. It was even too controversial for Fox, but it aired in 2002, and it is now a regular episode in the rotation when you watch reruns on Logo or wherever else you may find Married with Children. And it's also on the DVD sets.
And it's on Peacock, too.
And playing the kid, Tier Turner, who is actually a stuntman now. Episode 22, The Hero. Hank, Clifton's cousin, returns to Washington, D.C. to attend his dad's funeral. He has to run out of town years before because he testified against a guy named Doc. Doc gets the word that Hank's back in town. He comes to Clifton's barber shop saying that he's out for revenge. He also hints that anyone found protecting Hank is going to be in trouble too. Clifton gets the idea to pretend that Hank is dead, setting up a fake funeral with the help of Earl and Leonard. Doc shows up to make sure Hank is really gone. The game's nearly blown when Junior, pretending to be a preacher, refers to the deceased as a fine woman. After the funeral, Doc is so impressed by Junior's preaching that he forces him to come with him to the river. Doc wants Junior to say a few words over some former business associates of Doc. Hank is able to attend his father's funeral in peace and leave town in safety. Later, Junior shows up to the barbershop to explain how the memorial service Doc wanted him to preside over went. Junior flashes all the money Doc paid him.
Couple of names on this episode.
Uh-huh. So we have playing Hank is Hilly Hicks from The Amazing Spider-Man and Raise the Titanic. He played Robbie Robertson on The Amazing Spider-Man, Greg.
The series, right?
Yes, the series. And he was the voice of Brock on the 1978 Godzilla cartoon.
Cool.
But playing Doc, TC himself, Roger E. Mosley.
Oh.
Those weren't even the two names I was talking about. Well, Roger E. Mosley was one of them. Playing girl number 3, not even given a name. Girl number 3, Jane Kennedy. NFL Today, Jane Kennedy?
Ah, there you go.
but also, hey, you know what? Might as well tie it into this because Roger E. Mosley and Jane Kennedy were both on separate weeks of the Match Game Hollywood Squares Hour.
Yeah, they were.
And Roger E. Mosley was on the last week, which is the week where Jean hit on Morgan Fairchild.
You're gorgeous.
You're darn right she is.
Episode 23, The Image Maker. Clifton has the opportunity to audition for a television show about the up-and-coming black middle class, which, hello, we're watching it right now. Thank you very much. The rest of the neighborhood decides they want in on the action. Playing the director, Roland Ellis, Dennis Robertson, known as Private Baker on 7 episodes of Combat back in the day, 1962, and all 12 episodes of Tammy from 1965. Tammy Tarleton, an 18-year-old country girl played by Debbie Watson, for 26 episodes. So of those 26 episodes, Dennis Robertson was on 12 of them. Episode 24, Trial and Error. Leonard wins big at the neighborhood poker game, but gets arrested on his way home while visiting a house of ill repute. A house of ill repute. One of the employees of said house, Foxy Flo, is played by Suzanne Zenner. She was in 10 Years as Margot Anderman on Days of Our Lives. That's her longest running credit. Episode 25, Clifton and Politics. Clifton hosts a fundraiser for our friend running for city council. Playing that friend, Fleming, Stack Pierce, known as an airman in War Games and a visitor captain in the original V miniseries. And the final episode of the first season, Stephanie's boyfriend. Stephanie, an old girlfriend of Clifton's, returns to town, but her current boyfriend refuses to let Clifton be. Playing Stephanie is Emily Yancey, lady by the name of Emily Yancey, who was Dr. Thatcher in 9 Months from 1995, and also Gala in all 7 episodes of the miniseries Sharp Objects from 2018.
Don't tell Mama.
Playing her new boyfriend, Neville Ewing III, Ronald Warden. Yeah, he hasn't done much before, and he hasn't done much since.
No, he really hasn't done anything since. This is his last credit on IMDb.
Yeah. But that is the first season. And in that first season, it was playing on Wednesdays at 8, leading off ABC's nighttime lineup, which included a movie of the week and Get Christy Love, which we may or may not cover as a future entry.
Well, we referred to it last week because we were talking about Honey West.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did refer to it. Honey West was basically Get Christy Love with a white chick.
And 15 years earlier, 10 years earlier?
Yeah. But against Little House on the Prairie on NBC, you would think that the show was dead in the water, would you? But ABC decides, you know what we're going to do? We're going to give this show another chance. We're going to give it another chance. We're going to give it another season. But here's the thing. We're going to have to go through a whole retooling of the premise. And we're going to talk about the results of said retooling right after these era-appropriate messages.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey, let's pick a peck of juicy fruit gum. Let's pick a peck from the juicy fruit tree, 'cause the flavor's so good, you gotta get some. Just pick a peck and you'll see what a happy feeling. Juicy fruit, what a happy flavor. Open a pack of juicy fruit gum. Chew it and let all the flavor come through. Pick a bright yellow pack of juicy fruit gum and let it all happen to you. Pick a pack
This is Don Rickles. Give me the president of Right Guard. Hello. You the underarm biggie? Listen. Quit making your Right Guard antiperspirant with this super dry anti-stain formula. Why? Listen, you hockey puck. I'm an entertainer. I get laughs with my insults. But how can I get people hot and bothered when they've got your Right Guard keeping them cool? Right Guard helps keep them dry. You keep selling Right Guard, and you can pay for my mother's apartment in Miami Beach.
The new ABC Saturday night movie. This Saturday, Frank Sinatra as the detective.
Index and thumb of right hand missing. Left side of skull crushed.
You're not going to tell my parents, are you? But you know him.
They're going to bust me.
They do not like living in garbage cans. If you have me busted, you'll have to bust half the people in the department for being on the take.
You crushed his skull, didn't you?
You're the only one ever made me feel like a woman.
The Detective, Saturday, 9 p.m., 8 Central.
Tuesday Movie of the Week continues following station identification.
Hot L Baltimore, a new comedy sensation, premieres Friday at 9.
One tiny spark becomes a night of blazing suspense as the world's tallest building becomes the towering inferno. Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, William Holden, Faye Dunaway, Fred Astaire, Susan Blakely, Richard Chamberlain, Jennifer Jones, O.J. Simpson, Robert Vaughn, and Robert Wagner. Irwin Allen's production of The Towering Inferno, rated PG.
Now AVCO Cinemas, Egyptian, Vermont Drive-In, and Orange County Theaters.
I hope you enjoyed those commercials from 1974 and 1975. So, where we last left off, we had That's My Mama not really doing well in the ratings, but doing just well enough to earn a second season. However, in the second season, we're going to go through an entire rebranding and a whole overhaul of the concept. Lyle and Beard are gone. Alan Bly and Chris Beard are gone, as are Chester Hairston, DeForest Coven, and Lynn Moody as Tracy. Instead, playing the role of Tracy will be Joan Pringle, who was also in The White Shadow as Vice Principal Sybil Buchanan. And Lyle Wilson would be bumped up to series regular as opposed to being a recurring character. And recurring as Laura in season 2, Helen Martin. You remember her from 227 as the fuss budget grandma who's always at the window. Pearl on 227.
Oh, yeah.
And additionally, she's going to be on a show that we're going to cover next February. Not going to say what it is just yet. And also gone were Bob Lehendro as director and Stan Lathan as director in favor of the likes of Stuart Margolin, Noam Pitlick, and Burt Brinkerhall. So basically, television legends replacing lesser television legends. They also got a new set of writers, a new set of producers in David Pollock and Elias Davis, and new opening titles.
Let's listen to them right here, Chico.
Photographs and memories, love and devotion in time of need. When it seems all hope is gone, I've got my mama to depend upon. That's my mama. That's my mama. She's the force that gives me strength. Yeah. Super lady, heaven sent. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my mama. That's my mama. I'm the ribbon homemaker. Oh, so yeah.
amazing thing just happened in the Celebrity All-Star Game. Albert
Guillermo made a
Pujols-
shot.
No, Guillermo did not make a shot, but Albert Pujols dunked.
Nice.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Who would have thought Albert Pujols would dunk?
Old man's got hops.
Yeah.
He does.
Now I really hope this gets a rerun.
Wait, hold on a second. Guillermo's got a pizza now.
Now I really
want a
hope
pizza?
this is rerun.
Guillermo just gave Shaq a pizza. And Shaq's like, no, I don't want the pizza.
It's not Papa John's.
It's not
No.
Papa John's.
Nope.
You should ask Ben if he wants that. And Affleck if he wants any of that pizza.
By the way, the theme song for season 2 of That's My Mama, written and performed by Lamont Dozier. 1/3 of the legendary songwriting trio of Holland, Dozier, Holland. Can't tell me you don't know who Holland, Dozier, Holland are. So let's go over the episodes of season 2, see what new shenanigans Clifton and Mama can come up with. Episode 1, The Birthday Party. Leonard's birthday gift to his mother-in-law, Mama, of a burial plot brings her celebration to a halt. Clifton is particularly upset with his brother-in-law's gesture because he must think of a future without his parent. Okay, so I guess this is going to set the tone for the rest of the season. It looks like we're going very, very hard on most of the stories. Gone is the happy-go-lucky adventures of the first season. Now we're getting into serious brass tacks. Episode 2, Business is Business. Clifton is offered a partnership and a business deal to create a chain of high-end barbershops. Playing the man who offers the business deal, LaForge, Mel Stewart. Mel Stewart, of course, known primarily for playing Marvin Decker in all 12 episodes of Future Entry Tabitha, and playing Billy Melrose in all 88 episodes of Scarecrow and Mrs. King.
Another place that we saw Mel Stewart, literally, this is the second time we've talked about this show on this episode, and we've never talked about it before, as far as I know. He was on 12 episodes of Rollout. He didn't play Phone Booth. He played Sergeant B.J. Bryant.
Episode 3, Mama's Solution. Leonard, known for being high-strung, is persuaded into hiring Mama at his accounting firm. This is the first instance, first of many, of Helen Martin as Laura. Episode 4, That's Earl, Brother. Clifton leaves Earl in charge of the barbershop, hoping he doesn't regret it. Earl is soon enticed by an attractive young woman who sees an opportunity to rob the establishment. And, oh gosh, we talked about this woman before. Playing Thelma, the lady in waiting for Earl, Vernie Watson. We talked about her in Carter Country, but hey, you know who you remember her as? Will Smith's Mama on The Fresh Prince.
Oh, she was the one who told him, you're going with your auntie and uncle to Bel Air.
Yep.
And we know her as being Gloria on the current series, Bob Hart's Abishola.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Bob Hart's Abishola doesn't get enough love, I don't think.
I don't think, you know what? I love that show. I really do. Episode 5, A Date with Judy. Clifton is talked into going on a date with Judy, who turns out to be an average-looking girl. Cliff has a good time and wants to continue seeing her, but worries what his friends will think because she's not a stunning beauty. Playing the role of Judy, Tamu Blackwell. She was actually an assistant director on Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey and Dr. Dolittle, and one episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Second week in a row with a mention of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Episode 6. Earl's dad and Mama's glad. Cliff and Earl think it's a good idea if Earl's father, Sammy, meets Cliff's mama. They're thinking romance, but Sammy has his eyes on Mama's bank account for one of his business ventures. And playing Sammy Chambers, Lee Weaver was Joe in the 40-year-old version and the blind seer in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? But aside from that, he wasn't that guy from That Thing.
Hold on. No, I'm going to override you. Because Lee Weaver, he voiced the Crimson Guard on the G.I. Joe animated series.
And, oh, wait, you're right. He also voiced Alpine in the miniseries that would kick off season 2, Arise, Serpentor, Arise. Episode 7, Weekend Daddy. Leonard decides to become a weekend father, which is an organization similar to Big Brothers and Big Sisters, getting a young boy named Andy. Andy latches on to Earl, despite Leonard's attempts to bond with the boy. After a further attempt to bond with Andy, Leonard loses him at a ball game after giving him money to get snacks. Andy apparently has run away, and despite reassurances from Mama, Leonard is worried that only the worst could have happened. Soon, Andy shows up at the Curtis house and reveals that his running away was a test to find out if Leonard really didn't like him and wanted to be his weekend daddy. Leonard, in a turn of events, stands up to Andy and shows him what a real father should do. Punish him, but sternly and fairly, and tell Andy he still loves him. After Leonard, Tracy, and Andy make up and go home, Earl drops by and Mama discovers that he is the one who convinced Andy to try and come back when he realized Andy needed a father and not just a friend. Playing Andy, the late, great Christophe St. John.
In his first television role.
Correct.
Because he would have been like 8 years old at this point.
Oh, but yes.
And of course, Christophe St. John was a semi-regular on Match Game 98.
Second week in a row with a reference to Match Game 98. We're just rolling all the hits.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Oh my God! Miz just hit a half-court shot!
What?
With the buzzer!
On the buzzer!
I don't know.
Are you kidding me?
Was that to end the game? Because games
To
that
end
ended...
the game, yes!
Oh, wow.
They have to count this.
Please tell me they count this. Please tell me they count this. Episode 8. Clifton and La Femme. Clifton finds himself in the middle of a romantic triangle when Junior's girlfriend appears to be interested in him.
Okay, they did not count it. It did not leave his hand.
Damn.
Oh.
Playing the lady in the middle, Sylvia Mackey, and I'm not lying, this is her only credit. Episode 9. Mama's Big Move. Mama decides to move out to give Clifton privacy. Episode 10. Queen of the Ribs. Earl pretends to be the owner of the barbershop in order to impress his new girlfriend. And once Earl starts lying, will he be able to hear the truth that she doesn't care? Playing Winona, the lady Earl's trying to impress, Tracy Reed, who played Marianne in Running Scared, and Mrs. Carol Broadhurst in 5 episodes of McCloud.
And 25 episodes of our favorite, well, the original Love American Style. Not the new Love American Style, the original.
But we all know the new Love American Style is superior. We all know this.
Yeah. She was also in 12 episodes of a TV version of Barefoot in the Park, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Chico, don't go for the new Love American Style. The new Love American Style is where it's at. Because the old Love American Style, that's old hat, Nobody cares about the old Love American Style anymore. It's all about the new Love American Style. So don't just dismiss the new Love American
I'm
Style.
not dismissing anything.
Good.
All right.
This episode was directed by Mort Lockman. You certainly have heard of him because he produced TV shows such as All in the Family and Give Me a Break and Kate and Allie. Plus also his son, Brad Lockman. He's like the king of like reality television. He did like the most extreme moments or whatever Fox did with Mark Thompson as the voiceover guy.
What didn't Fox do with Mark Thompson as the voiceover guy?
Okay, that's a valid point. But yeah, if you ever watch like Most Outrageous Moments or one of those types of TV shows, odds are that Brad Lockman was behind it. And I think he did like the Most Outrageous Game Show Moments, the Game Show Moments specials that NBC aired like 20 years ago. Pretty sure he was behind that. And if you've been paying attention, we're going to talk about a Brad Lockman production next week.
Episode 11, A Man from the Past. An old family friend and one-time flame of Mama's breezes into town a changed man. He's a minister. Putting two and two together, Clifton begins to wonder if he doesn't have more in common with this man than he should. Playing said person, Jake, Barney Hamilton, Captain Harold Dobie from Starsky and Hutch, y'all. Which, by the way...
This is CNN Breaking News.
How many times are we going to have breaking news in this episode? Gee whiz. Okay, Chico, what'd you have to say?
Fox is commissioning a remake of Starsky and Hutch. A gender-flipped remake of Starsky and Hutch.
In modern times?
Yep. I'm curious as to how this is going to turn out.
Okay.
Who are they going to get to play Huggy Bear?
Well, Antonio Fargas played Huggy Bear in the original series. How about you go for his son, former NFL running back Justin Fargas?
Oh, that'd be terrific.
Well, I know you said the whole gender swap thing, but it's an idea.
It is an idea.
Huggy Bear runs in his genes.
Yes, they do. Episode 12. Get your kicks on routes 22 and 76. On their way to an out-of-town wedding, Clifton, Mama, and the gang get sidetracked by a snowstorm and bad directions. Can they get to the wedding on time? But more importantly, can they get through the night without killing each other? Bottle episode has to be.
Is it a bottle episode? Maybe, maybe not. I'm leaning towards maybe based on what you said. And the motel manager is played by Richard Forangi. Two reasons I mentioned him. One, we did talk about him previously, or at least we talked about a series he was on previously. He was on an episode of Get a Life. He was on the Counterfeit Watch story. The other reason, I know Greg loves every mention of this show. He was on an episode of 18 Wheels of Justice.
Oh, 18 Wheels of Justice.
Yes. But hey, let's get to the last episode.
Last episode. This is Clifton's casual fling. Clifton thinks his new girlfriend, Sharon, is the one. And he's finally ready to settle down. Now all Sharon has to do is tell him she just wants to date. Playing Sharon, Dee Timberlake, who was in 2 episodes of The Bionic Woman as Karen Stone, 3 episodes as Maggie on McCloud, and she voiced several characters on all 13 episodes of Space Sentinels.
Oh, she also did a voice on Plastic Man. Does nobody remember Plastic Man?
I remember Plastic Man.
Yeah. That's got to be on the list. We got to cover that one day.
She, too, was on an episode of The White Shadow. And that's the show. During season 2, they kept it on Wednesday nights. But instead of having it lead off the night, they put it on after another news show that season. One we already covered.
Don't say when things are rotten. Don't say when things are rotten. Don't say when things are rotten.
Okay.
What was it?
When things were rotten.
Dang it!
You told me not to say it, so
I know, but it's like, that's such a brilliant show. And when you said it's on after a new show on ABC, it's like, no. Two good shows that just like got hammered and got canceled like really quickly. No.
Because they were on opposite Little House on the Prairie. And that was
again?
literally...
Wait,
Again!
NBC plays dirty, dang.
Especially when you consider what else was on that night. Doctor's Hospital and Petrocelli. Nobody watched those two shows. And what was on ABC for the rest of the night? Beretta and Starsky and Hutch.
What did Clifton Davis ever do to NBC to get them so mad?
I couldn't tell you. But I guess they were willing to let bygones be bygones because he appeared with Chester Hairston in Amen in the 80s. But yeah, I mean, That's My Mama. Really sentimental show in the African American diaspora in the 1970s, to the point. Did you know this? In 1986, they produced Columbia Pictures Television, which produced the original show. They produced a syndicated revival a la What's Happening Now called That's My Mama Now. They did bring back Ted Lange and they did bring back Theresa Merritt, but they added on Daphne Maxwell Reid, Anne Marie Johnson, Tony Carruthers, Lyle Wilson, and podcast favorite, TV's Tim Stack. This might be one for pilot month somewhere down the line, if I can find a copy, but they did not pick it up. But don't cry for anybody involved with this show. Clifton Davis and Chester Hairston went on to Amen. Ted Lange went on to The Love Boat, and Theresa Merritt had a fruitful career until her death in 1998. But like we said before, if you want to watch all 39 episodes, they are available on DVD, or if you can't be bothered with things like spending money or the security of hard media, you can watch all 39 episodes right now for free on Crackle.
No, gotta make a correction there. I already checked Crackle. There's only 36 episodes there. They don't have 3 of the first season episodes there. Entire second season's there, but only 23 episodes from the first season.
So, gentlemen, thoughts?
I really like this show. I'm not gonna lie. I did watch it back on TV One in the day, like I mentioned at the start of the show. I think, like you said, wherever it went, Little House on the Prairie was on against it, and it just didn't stand a chance against Little House on the Prairie. But I thoroughly enjoyed this show.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really good show. You could tell there was a whole lot of chemistry with all of the castmates, and the stories that the show did, they related to the target audience. This was a show catered to its audience. Unfortunately, it didn't do well enough, at least in ABC's eyes, to warrant anything other than the 39 episodes that aired. But yeah, That's My Mama would earn a place in television history, or at least in endless pop culture references about it. But in 1974, 1975, That's My Mama, opposite Little House, was just a thing on TV. Well, you can get your ears lowered over at our website. It was a thing on TV.com, where we have all of our episodes, all 351 of them, including live shows, mini-sodes, and a few surprises here and there. Don't forget to download us where all fine podcasts can be streamed. Remember, like and subscribe, rate and review, 5 stars only, because positive vibes only. And if you are on YouTube, don't forget to hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all of our future entries. And don't forget to follow us on all social media at It Was a Thing on TV, except for Facebook, because I think Earl was looking at Mark Zuckerberg's wife like that. So he settled us with It Was a Thing on TV podcast. Our Salute to Black History Month continues with our next episode, where we talk about a show that was not done in by ratings, and it was not done in by production errors. It was done in by tragedy. And we'll talk more about that next time, right here on It Was a Thing on TV. For Greg, for Mike, I'm Chico. Thank you ever so much for listening. Please be kind to each other, and we will see you for the next one.
Wow! Well, that's my mama.